I was still hazy from the anesthesia when the nurse leaned in and asked for my emergency contact. My wife wasn't there. She hadn't answered their repeated calls, again and again and again. Eventually, I mumbled my lawyer's number instead. 6 hours later, the surgery was over. I drifted in and out of consciousness, clinging to life with half my stomach gone and 3 cold metal staples sealing the wound. I remember how still everything felt. The machines beeped steadily, like a metronome. Mechanical, cold, unforgiving. She didn't come that night, or the night after. On the 3rd day, she strolled in like she owned the place. High heels tapping across the linoleum floor, her brother Daniel trailing behind. She wore a bright smile and an air of urgency. "Where's the doctor?" "We need answers now," she demanded. The nurse barely looked up from her clipboard, unimpressed. "Of course," she said coolly. "But first, we'll need your signature on this." A simple form. But her expression drained of color the moment she saw it. Her face turned ashen, like winter snow. And right then I knew she had read the ending before even realizing the story had started. I used to believe Betrayal would announce itself with shouting matches, slamming doors, or some emotional explosion in the night. But it doesn't. It arrives quietly, like a faint call from another room, a prolonged glance, a shift in tone. Her name was Marissa. We met during college. She once told me I made her feel secure. I believed her, built my entire world on that foundation. Security, stability, a sense of home. I handled the finances, repaired her car, listened when she broke down after failed job interviews. I even got her brother, Daniel, a position in the corporate office. I was the one they turned to when things went wrong, and they called often. I never questioned it, until the night I collapsed in the bathroom, gripped by intense abdominal pain. Blood in the toilet, like a warning bell. Struggling, I grabbed my phone with shaking hands, scrolled to her number, and called. She declined it. Then a text came in. "Can't talk. Daniel's big pitch is tomorrow. Don't make this about you." That was the moment I realized it wasn't just that she didn't come, it's that she chose not to. After I woke up from surgery and she was still nowhere to be found, a quiet certainty settled in. So I played dead, figuratively speaking. I instructed the hospital to restrict my visitor access. They listed me as a non-disclosed patient. Even if she tried to find me, she wouldn't be able to, but she didn't try. Daniel did, though. He called the hospital, but not to ask about my condition. He inquired about the insurance, wanted the room number for billing purposes. That was the moment I stopped weeping and started planning. I spent the next 3 months recovering alone. But in that silence, I strategized. First, I had my lawyer revise my will. Everything I owned was transferred into a trust, irrevocable, airtight, with conditions known only to me. Then I hired a private investigator, not to follow her, to follow them. 2 weeks later, I had more than enough. Long lunches that never seemed to end. Dinners under the label of business meetings. Hotel room key cards with matching timestamps. One photo stood out, a shot of her hand resting casually on his thigh at a rooftop bar. She was laughing, carefree, not even pretending to hide it. Daniel had always been a little too present. Late night calls. Private jokes I wasn't included in. I chalked it up to sibling closeness. I was a fool. They weren't siblings. Not really. Not by blood. Daniel had been adopted by her stepfather when he was 13. Legally, yes, they were family. But biologically, nothing. Close enough to seem safe. Far enough to be dangerous. I pieced the rest together quickly. The secret account. The gradual draining of our shared savings. The forged signature on a loan application I'd never even seen. But I didn't confront her. No shouting. No accusations. Instead, I rewarded her. "Hey, babe," I said one evening, about 2 months before everything unraveled. "You've been under a lot of pressure lately. You and Daniel should finally take that Bali trip you always dreamed about. My treat." Her eyes narrowed, uncertain. "Wait, are you serious?" "Absolutely," I said with a smile. She kissed me with a tenderness I hadn't felt in months. While she packed her bags, giddy with excitement, I quietly began dismantling the illusion. I moved the money from our joint accounts into the trust I had created, severed her access, closed every shared line. I went through the house, removing anything with my name on it, erasing my presence from the life we'd built together. Then, the night before their flight, it happened again. I dropped to the floor in the kitchen, pain tearing through me like fire. Emergency surgery. Same hospital. And once again, she didn't come. Not until the nurse handed her the paperwork. "Whoa, what is this?" Marissa asked, her eyes scanning the document with growing confusion. "It's the power of attorney transfer," the nurse answered calmly. "We just need the spouse to sign here to confirm release of authority." Her head snapped toward me, panic rising fast. Release of what exactly? It was the first time I'd spoken in days. My voice came out hoarse, steady. Everything. The house, the finances, medical decisions. All of it. You were listed temporarily while I was incapacitated. That ends today. She laughed, or at least tried to. "You can't be serious. You can't do that. We're married." "No," I said quietly. "We were?" Then the nurse passed to the second document. Divorce papers. Already signed. Already filed. She'd been legally served without realizing it. Daniel leaned on the edge of the counter, his face tight. "What the hell is this? Some kind of prank?" "No prank," I replied. "But I do have one question for both of you." They turned toward me slowly, silent, pale. "How long were you sleeping with your brother before you both decided I didn't matter?" Security arrived 10 minutes later and escorted them out. I stood at the window, watching Marissa in the parking lot, screaming, grabbing at Daniel's arm. He didn't move, just stood there, paralyzed as their carefully crafted world shattered around them. They tried to reach out afterward, calls, texts, even veiled threats. But you can't manipulate someone who's lost everything and kept every receipt. I forwarded the photos to Daniel's HR department, complete with time logs, financial records, hotel bookings charged to a company card. He was unemployed within a day. She moved in with him after that. 2 months later, they split. He blamed her. She came crawling back. I answered neither. Funny thing about suffering, it either destroys you or sharpens you like a blade. I used to be gentle, naive, forgiving. Not anymore. She mistook me for a broken man, lying helpless in a hospital bed. What she didn't know was I'd already written the final chapter, and she had signed her name on the last page.